People look at Medicare Advantage, and that's where you have all the extra bells and whistles, help drive their decision, or put more emphasis on those benefits than probably they should. I think that's where the trap part comes in.
What happens is most people, when they look to a Medicare Advantage plan, they overlook some of the other benefits that are within the plan. What's your out-of-pocket max? What are your copays for office visits? Most of them are going to be zero, but
Sure.
I mean, but the reality is that everything kind of adds up over the course of time. And that's really the key that most people kind of get caught with, that they're like, oh, I didn't think that was going to be the case. But they may have signed up for it because they're like, oh, well, this one has a little bit better of a dental plan. Well, you got to look at it at the end of the day to say, what's more important? These types of things, these benefits, maybe these networks. I got better dental, but my network isn't as good. Well,
Right.
and that's not so much for the dental plan. It's going to be more so with the actual network that you have on the MAPD plan.
Exactly. Welcome to episode 8 of the Brad and Mike Show, entitled Dental, Vision, and Hearing, the Extra Benefits Trap.
We like extras.
Yeah, we like extras. And it's not really a trap per se. More like a loose snare.
How loose of a snare?
Yeah, very
like,
loose. You can get out. Of
so I
it.
won't
Yeah,
have to chew my leg
No,
off
you
if I
don't
got
have
caught.
to- No. That's a horrible image. But that being said, so often
Yeah.
people look at Medicare Advantage plans.
Yep.
And that's where you have all the extra bells and whistles. And they
Or
look-
so they think.
Or so they think. And
Yeah.
they look at these and they'll let those extra bells and whistles help drive their decision, or put more emphasis on those benefits than probably they should.
Yes.
And I think that's where the trap part comes in.
I would agree with that. I think what happens is most people, when they look to a Medicare Advantage plan, they overlook some of the other benefits that are within the plan.
Right.
What's your out-of-pocket max? What are your copays for office visits? Most of them are going to be zero, but
Sure.
I mean, but the reality is that everything kind of adds up over the course of time. And that's really the key that most people kind of get caught with, that they're like, oh, I didn't think that was going to be the case. But they may have signed up for it because they're like, oh, well, this one has a little bit better of a dental plan. Well, you got to look at it at the end of the day to say, what's more important? These types of things, these benefits, maybe these networks.
The networks are huge.
Yeah.
And look, if you're the kind of person who travels a
Yep.
lot, and you're spending half the year in somewhere warm, God bless you. If you have the acumen to pull that off, that's awesome. Especially as I look outside today, it's snowing right now. Yeah.
Yeah, we're filming this right now
Yeah,
in
yeah.
early January.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Nice.
So
But yeah, along those lines, that's always a key thing. So you don't want to overlook and gravitate towards just one benefit and then kind of, not look at the rest to be like, oh, geez, I got better dental, but my network isn't as good. Well, that's not so much for the dental plan. It's going to be more so with the actual network that you have on the MAPD plan.
Exactly. The thing to remember. Well, we've seen this. I've heard this numerous times. People are like, "Well, I want the plan that has the silver sneakers. I've got to have my gym membership." and I get that. And maybe
appreciate that, sure.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
And maybe because they're going to the gym so often, they're proactive. Maybe they don't use their plan so much. And that's a consideration. Obviously, the old adage that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure rings true. And whether you're 28 or you're 65, aging into Medicare, be healthy. And the healthier you are, the less usage typically you would have.
Be healthy. Be healthy.
That's exactly it.
And that's the other part of this too, is that the silver sneakers. I mean, it's going to be the wellness that
The wellness
MAPDs
programs.
that
I
they
call
have.
it silver sneakers. That's typically the moniker that's assigned to
Silver
it.
sneakers, one pass. Yeah, there's different names that are utilized
Sure.
for that, but it all kind of converges around the same thing. That it's they're designed basically to help out with some gym memberships that you may be going to at that point in time, or different types of things to keep you healthy that will be part of that program. So that's always a key. But those are going to be things that you're going to find in a Medicare Advantage that you won't inside of
A Medicare supplement.
Medicare supplement.
Well, let's talk about some of the things, and just to reiterate that point, these extras are always associated with a Medicare Advantage plan, not a Medicare supplement plan.
Fair.
They are not in the Medicare supplement plans.
Yeah, you actually have to do a separate purchase. So like the
Right.
dental, vision, hearing, that'll be built into a Medicare Advantage
plan
program
are not.
are not in a supplement. So if you think that you're going to, purchase a Medicare supplement, please be aware that you're going to need to add in a separate dental, vision, and hearing. And whomever you get the actual Medicare supplement through will have an option for you there. So just be aware that there's ways to do it, so you got to kind of add it on. It's not the included.
But the advantage of a MAPD or a Medicare Advantage plan are that everything is included into one bundle, and people like to bundle, as they say on TV.
Bundle and save.
Yeah, so they bundle and save, right?
That's right.
I'm not advertising for an auto insurance company, but the long and short of it is that a Medicare Advantage plan builds all these benefits in, and let's go down through the list. So we've got dental, vision, and hearing, which are included typically in an MAPD plan.
Now, one big thing to look at, though, too, is when you kind of get, if all things are being equal, you look at the plan, copays look good, out-of-pocket max looks good, and that type of stuff, then, yeah, definitely get down into these different benefits, such as the dental, the vision, and the hearing, because what you'll see in certain plans is you might see a higher amount, or let's say for dental.
And when Mike says certain plans, sorry for interrupting, he means certain carriers.
Certain carriers,
different
correct.
carriers have different structures of those plans. There's always a general, the mix is the same. Let me rephrase, the benefits are the same, the mix is a little different.
Yeah, so your out-of-pocket maximum on one plan may be $2,000, another plan might be $1,500, and the third might be $1,000.
Right.
And then it also depends on, from plan to plan, whom that carrier may actually be. So in some cases, I'll just throw out a name, for instance, Delta Dental, which is going to be massive.
Network.
Massive network. Some other ones don't use Delta Dental. So be aware of that there's some nuance within those actual carriers' plans of who their dentalists are. Doesn't mean it's a bad plan. It just means that the network of dentists may be different, and maybe your dentist isn't in there.
Right.
So you
Which
want
translates always into a more restrictive network. You just want to be aware of whatever you choose. Talk with your dentist. People are typically very loyal to their dentist. I never understood that. But
dude, if you have a person poking around in your mouth,
I get it. You've had the same guy poking around in your mouth for the last 30 years. I get that, but that's not me. Since I've been in Michigan, I've had at least a dozen different dentists.
It's because you're difficult to work with.
I am difficult to work with. I've got a mouthful of trouble, I can tell you that. But a nice smile. That being said,
sorry, I can't make it go ding for you. Type of thing.
We can have them edit that in, a little shine.
Bing. So if they are having those types of questions and need some help, just hop to our website, give us a call at the phone number behind us. So
734-259-6750.
So give us a call or just hit us on the website or shoot us an email in regards to that as well. But then next, what do we got next? What are we talking about next?
So we've got over-the-counter allowances, OTCs.
Oh, OTC, or in some cases, flex cards you may hear as well.
Prepaid flex cards, yep.
So part of the thing is with OTC that you got to be aware of is that it's going to be for over-the-counter is what the OTC stands for. Another acronym, go figure, OTC. Yeah, sure. But with regards to that, those actual over-the-counters are going to be things for like pain meds, Tylenols, those types of things that you can purchase. Now, most of the OTC that you're going to see associated with most of the plans that are going to be out there are going to give you a certain dollar amount, might be $40 per quarter.
Yeah, it's usually not a huge number.
It's not, it's not a big number. And the big thing that you got to remember is that with usually most OTCs, and it's going to be different by carrier, so be aware of this, but majority of the carriers actually don't have it where it rolls over from quarter to quarter. So you can't bank it. Right. Now, some of the carriers that are out there may have a rollover option, or they might actually have it where it's a flex card. And what the flex card is different is that's going to be more utilized not just for over-the-counter. You can actually utilize that maybe for things that might not be covered by dental, vision, hearing, those types of things. Or depending on, and there's certain types of flex cards that you can get maybe if you happen to be low income, maybe on what we call as a dual special needs person where they're covered by Medicaid.
Yep.
And if that happens to be the case, you might be Medicaid, Medicare. You could also use that money in those circumstances for food as well as maybe paying for.
Only in those circumstances. I was just going to bring that up. Like Mike, if I'm at CVS and I want to get a pint of Ben and Jerry's Moose Tracks, can I use my OTC card for that?
No.
Oh.
Sorry. They give you a nice book that you can look through and see what's all available, but Ben and Jerry's won't be on there. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know. Well, those are the kind of questions we get.
Yes.
And more importantly, those are the people, you get those calls say, well, I tried to use my card for it. Well, what were you trying to use? Well, again,
You're debiting the Doritos. Doesn't work.
Debiting some Ben and Jerry's, you can't do that. Okay,
No,
so
you can't.
the next one.
Well,
go
hang
ahead.
on. I want to go back to a little bit on that flex card in that, with those are going to be a little bit more powerful, but those are going to be on, in some cases, case-by-case basis or based on the carrier, meaning that the carrier may have it, but the flex card, they may call it a flex, but it might be limited to certain benefits that are available. So meaning that you not necessarily can't use it for your electric bill, whereas in certain circumstances, you might have a person that is covered under Medicare and Medicaid, they could use it for that. So there might be some limiting things, but in many cases, those flex cards have a rollover capability from quarter to quarter, but it's only based on per year. So it goes away after that year. So it might not be after the quarter, it might be after the end of the year that you lose it, but you could roll it over from year to year or month to month if you don't use it, I should say.
Right,
Or
but
quarter
not
to
year
quarter.
to year.
Correct. Yep.
So
All right.
another one that's really, I think but we're going to skip past a couple to talk specifically on this one, and that's Part B premium give back.
Oh, the
Yeah,
give
the
back.
And a lot of times you'll see a plan that'll list a little bit of give back. And what does that mean? That means typically that the give back premium goes towards Part B premium,
Correct. Yep.
right?
Yep.
So sometimes that can be a determining factor for people when they're choosing a Medicare Advantage plan.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
want to choose a plan that has a little bit of give back in it.
Yep, and now here's the other thing to remember is that give back comes with a cost, and what that cost basically is when you look at the out-of-pocket maximums that you're going to have associated with those give backs, those are going to be higher.
Yes, they're going to be a little higher.
They're going to be a little bit higher in regards to that. But where it really works out for a person is, let's say that you don't have a lot of utilization, and you only see the doctor a couple times a year. Maybe it's because you do go in for your annual physical. Could be that once or twice a year you go in and you actually have the sniffles and and you got a respiratory infection and you need to get a Z-Pack. Well, if that happens to be the case, a give back plan works completely fine for those individuals because it works in that it actually helps to lower what your cost is associated with your Part B, as you said before. So in 2026, that's $202.90. Well, if you can get a give back, and I'm just going to throw a number out, this isn't, an actual plan, but let's say you get $50 back on the give back. Well, that's going to lower your premium throughout the course of the year by $600.
And for a lot of people, hey, that's a chunk of change.
Sure it is.
And it makes a difference.
And it
makes
does.
a difference. If you're on a limited income, these are all factors that you have to consider.
Absolutely. Because the reality is if you don't utilize your plan all that much, your out-of-pocket maximum, whether it happens to be, let's just use a number of 6,000 versus 9,000. That's not what those numbers are to real life plan. But 6 to 9, well, okay, what does it matter if you use your plan a couple times a year? You're never going to get close to that. So why not actually have some of that give back come back?
You bring up a great point, Mike. And that's one of the things that we do. We really, it's one of the first things we do when we talk to somebody for the first time about Medicare is we talk about usage. We talk about, again, what kind of what meds are you on, if any? How often do you see the physician? Not to say that people's health don't change. They do. Of course, as you get older, it's very likely that you'll develop some type of health issue that needs some assistance with the doctor. But for the most part, when people are aging in, I love the way you always say, look, you're going to pay. You're going to either pay, the carrier or you're going to pay the physician.
Yes.
Nothing's for free. You're always going to pay. The question is are you willing to gamble that if you don't use it, you're going to save because you're going to pay the doctor when you do use it?
Well, yeah, I think, but more importantly than that is to look at your current health condition that you're currently on right now, and every year, at least for a Medicare Advantage program, you're going to have the availability to make a change to that. If you're on a Medicare supplement, it really isn't going to be. It's not impactful in that way because the plan really is going to be supplementing everything.
Yes.
It's more so on the Advantage plans because they're out-of-pocket maximums, their copays, those things change every year. And so that's more important for you to really look at, hey, what's changed in my plan from year to year. And that kind of goes back to the whole thing with the ANOC, your annual notice of change letter, to pay attention to that. If anything has changed, you got to make sure of that. But along those lines, it's always key to be aware of what your plan is covering and what your plan is not covering from a year-to-year basis. So that's a big thing. So
a couple other things here.
Yep.
Food and utility assistance, transportation, and meal delivery.
Okay. So the assistance as far as in regards to the utilities and that stuff, that's going to be specific to people that'll be on both Medicare and Medicaid.
That's correct.
Transportation, that's going to basically be if you need help getting from one area to another for your doctor's visits.
That's correct.
So that's different by plan. So if that's an important factor to you, let us know because we can look for certain plans.
For sure. And, as you get older, a lot of people, they stop driving for whatever reason.
You're just a bad driver.
Or they're just about I'm a good driver. Yeah, I'm a good driver. But you remember that from what was that movie again?
Driving Miss Daisy?
No. What? For goodness sakes, not Driving Miss Daisy with Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, Rain Man.
Rain Man, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. That said, sorry for the obscure Rain Man reference, but
that was actually okay. Never mind. Forget
it. We'll run down that rabbit hole. Meal delivery is another thing.
So that's basically if you're hospitalized and you come out of the hospital, some of the plans do have the capability for meal delivery at that point in time, which can be very beneficial, especially if you're living alone in regards to that. So that can actually be a big thing for you to actually have with regards to the benefits. So which
pairs in nicely with assistive devices, things that can help you get on and off the toilet.
Well, the I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yep.
So those are, they're PERS, I think is what they're called. So they're, don't ask me the acronym, but Google it.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Fallen and I can't get up basically is what it kind of comes up to. So some of the plans that are out there do cover the cost of that as well as then the monthly monitoring from that end. So yeah.
Yeah. Those are all things. So just as a general recap.
Yep.
The conventional wisdom is that you wouldn't let these extra benefits be the sole factor to drive your decision as it relates to a Medicare Advantage plan, or whether or not a Medicare Advantage plan makes better sense for you, or whether a Medicare supplement makes better sense for you. Everyone's risk tolerance is different.
Yep.
And some people are like, look, no, I don't want to I'm in great health. I don't take any meds, but I don't want to ever have to pay anything. Medicare supplement makes sense for them, right? Mm-hmm. Premium often is the deciding factor for people to drive towards Medicare Advantage plans because there are a lot of plans out there that are zero premium. And but also people like the idea of these extra things that are included in a Medicare Advantage.
Yeah, it's extra. So, it's
extra, and you don't have to go out and buy your separate dental plan or a separate vision plan or a separate hearing plan.
Well, it's kind of like when you go out to dinner and they give you the hamburger. Do you want cheese on that? Do you want lettuce, tomato, pickles, and that type of stuff? It's nice when it's all included, right?
Yeah, rather than an upcharge $1.10 for pickles or $2 for an extra slice of cheese.
Correct, and that's the whole thing. So it's kind of like with your Medicare Advantage plan, you can have that in there. But if you get a burger and they don't give you the lettuce and the pickle, and it's an upcharge for that, well, are you not going to get the burger then? And where I'm going with this is that's kind of like the whole thing with the Medicare Advantage plan. So make sure you get what you need out of the plan. Yeah. And then if some of the extras help you, well, that might be a deciding factor of, hey, do I want to spend more on this or not? So,
again, don't let the bells and whistles be the driving force behind your decision. Take them into consideration. There are many factors involved, and what we wanted to do with this episode is just to make people aware that there are, within Medicare Advantage plans, there are a lot of extras, a lot of bells and whistles that often, for some people, are the shiny penny.
Yep.
And it can help them, or I should say, influence their decision.
Makes sense. Yep. So cool. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks again for another episode of the Brad and Mike Show. Yep. Again, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
Give us a call. Visit our website if necessary.
734-259-6750. Thanks again.
Take care. Bye.